Welcome to News from Down Home, where I talk about news from Princess Anne, Maryland. Now, Princess Anne, Somerset County, Maryland, on the Eastern Shore, not far from Ocean City, if you've ever been there. Somerset County, my family moved there in 1903 from Western Pennsylvania. That was my great grandfather's generation. And we have a lot of people still there. A lot of people who have deep roots in Somerset County, Maryland, and a lot of people I love are buried there. And so I regard it as my hometown, even though I left at the age of 13 when my parents moved to New Jersey for my father's job. Now, I'm talking about the Marylander and Herald, which was the paper of record until the 1980s. And we're still on Tuesday morning, February 22nd, 1916. And I'm going to go over a few things that I thought were interesting in the paper. And if I could just begin here with some Somerset County happenings. Now, first, these are newsy items like you get on Facebook or Instagram or one of the other social media things today where people are kind of letting you know what they're eating, what they're cooking for dinner, where they're visiting, who they visited, what they've done, their vacations, that kind of stuff. So let's talk about a couple of things here. Just want to go over a couple of things here. Make sure I pick the date, the actual items that I want to talk about here. Okay, so in Perry Hawken, this is in Somerset County, on February 19th, Mr. Wallace Howard of Pitts Creek, Worcester County, is visiting relatives in this section. Now, I don't remember how Worcester is pronounced. Is it Worcester or Worcester? I think in Worcester in England, but if you think you want to correct me, go ahead. Mrs. Austin Dryden of Baltimore is visiting her mother, Mrs. J.A. Holland. Mrs. Leroy Long and little daughter of Baltimore are visiting Mrs. Long's mother, Mrs. Florence Brittingham. Mr. and Mrs. William Parsons of near Snow Hill have returned home after visiting at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Noah Gibbons. Mr. Fred A. Culver is and family, and Mr. Fred O. Gordy and family, all of Princess Anne, spent Sunday with relatives at this place. Mrs. Milton Mariner and little son Pittman and Mr. P.J. Hayne of Bluefield, West Virginia, are spending some time at the home of Mr. and Mrs. James Knoll. Mr. Alton Dryden, now Dryden's a very familiar name for me, who for about 6 weeks past has been undergoing treatment at a Baltimore City hospital, returned home this week and is said to be much improved. Now, another thing that I thought was interesting, marriage licenses. So there's two marriage licenses that were issued in the past week in Clerk of Circuit Court for Somerset County. They divide them between white and black, and the black people they call colored. They don't call them African Americans or black at that time. They call them colored. And of course, black Americans will say people of color today. So it's just that the colored phrasing kind of just speaks of racism of the past. So the white couple, Morrison Nelson, who's age 21, and Julia Goldsboro, versus age 18, both of Chrisfield. And then the black couple, Nathan Bevins, 21, and Gertrude Green, 16, both of Princess Anne. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It was to me anyway. Now I want to talk about an historical home in it's called the Charles Jones House. It's on 11816 Somerset Avenue. Now, the Maryland State Records, the Maryland Archives, say that this was long thought to be one of the few dwellings to survive from the earliest years of Princess Anne's history. It's a three-bay, two-story-and-a-half house located at the corner of Somerset Avenue and Broad Street. And the fact that a house stood on this site as early as 1743 is documented in an early deed detailing the boundaries of the first lot for the county courthouse across the street. The deed reads from that era on the south by a straight line drawn across from the main street from the south end of a house in the said town belonging to Captain Robert King and Captain David Wilson, unquote. Now, from this reference, it was reasonably assumed that the extant house and the dwelling referred to in the deed were one and the same. However, a few original architectural features to survive in the current story-and-a-half frame house suggest the 1740s building was destroyed sometime before the Revolution and replaced by the present house. So sections of 18th century feather edge partitions were used as doors and beaded floor joists were used as studs, indicate the extant structure was built with materials probably taken from the earlier house. Also, this later dwelling originally had a complicated plan with corner hearths heating 3 or 4 rooms, not unlike that of the Glebe House south of Princess Anne, with vestry minutes dates to 1784. So construction of this house is estimated to date to the 1780s, probably during the ownership of Charles Jones, who acquired title to the property in 1782. And he's designated in the land records as an inn holder, INN, hotel like thing, and may have operated an ordinary or tavern on the site. He died intestate several years later, and in 1788, the lot was sold to Dr. John Wolford. 3 years later, Wolford partitioned the lot and transferred ownership of the southern part to Parker Selby, who, according to the deed, was living in the house. So this goes on, and this is a very old house, or has roots that were very old, and I just I'm interested in this kind of thing, and like to read about the history of Princess Anne in Somerset County. There's so much I did not know. When you grow up in a place, or when you live in a place, you often don't know as much about it as somebody coming to visit. That's why the old joke, not a joke, but the thing you'll hear is somebody you'll go, I never went to the theater until somebody came to town and wanted to go to the theater. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed down news from down home. Have a good day.